Hi, my name is Rohaida Pankoga of MAELT 221. So I'm going to report about morphology. So when we say morphology, it's a study of forms. It's also a branch of linguistics that studies word structure, especially in terms of morphemes, or we call it morphological in adjective. We also are going to talk about inflection, derivation, and compounding. Later on, I will discuss more of that. Basically, it's the study of word formation or structure of words, or we call it in hierarchy. How it's going to be divided, what's the meaning and the purpose of every word combined. So there are basic examples that we have here. We say careless, unhappy, or teacher. So we will discuss more about this. So basically, when you say, I highlight the word less from its root word care. So you will see the difference from the word uh, care, it becomes careless. So it's actually the antonyms of it. Same with the word um, unhappy from the word happy. And we also have the teacher from the word verb, it becomes a noun. So morpheme is the minimal unit of meaning or grammatical function. So it is a meaningful linguistic unit consisting of a word such as man, or the word elements such as ed in the word walked, that cannot be divided into meaningful, uh, smaller meaningful parts. So it is also the smallest morphological unit that cannot be divided into smaller parts. So in English, words like talks, talker, talked, talking, from its root word talk, you can actually make that with different meanings from the suffixes that you can add, such as or s, er, ed, or ing. So if you look at this one, the example that I have, it's called it's reopen. The three morphemes it can be divided into three morphemes, which is the word, from its word open. You can add affix er, or and additional to that is the suffix ed, so it becomes reopen. And also we have tourist. We can actually add two suffixes. From the word tour, it becomes tourist, and it becomes tourists in plural form. So we have two types of free morphemes. I'm sorry, we have two types of morphemes. Uh, the first one is the free morpheme and the bound morpheme. So when you say free morphemes, these are can stand alone by themselves as a single word, and this can which can stand alone as a word of a language. Free morphemes are those can stand alone as words. They may be lexical morphemes or grammatical or functional morphemes. So later on we will discuss about lexical and also the functional morphemes. And yeah, free morphemes can be identified as a set of separate words such as basic words, adjectives, or verbs. So these words can stand alone. You don't need to add suffix or affix because it can convey meaning already. All right. So bound morpheme are those morphemes that cannot stand normally alone or typically attached to another form. So as I mentioned, one of the example that I mentioned was the word unhappy. So you cannot just say an because it doesn't mean anything. But when you say happy, it means you're happy. So it can be an example of free morpheme. While when you say an is a sample of unbound morpheme, which cannot stand alone. So other words as the teacher, er cannot stand alone, but teach can stand alone. Careless as well. Less cannot stand alone, which is the bound morpheme. Also talked with an ed. The whole word can stand alone as a free morpheme, while ed cannot stand alone. Also with the word teaching, adding ing. So all affixes and suffixes are bound morphemes. Basically, that's exactly what it is. The example, when you say, by the way, when you say free morphemes, um, used with bound morphemes attached, it's the you can call stem as a base word form. Example here, we have carelessness. You say care as you call care as a stem in morphological structure. You call it stem, or the base word, and we also call it as free morpheme. And the suffix less and ness can be called as bound morpheme that cannot stand alone. And another example is the undressed. So you can find the stem in the middle, which is the free morpheme, and the bound morpheme can be found at the beginning and the end, which can be called as prefix and suffix. So there are numbers of English words in which the element treated as stem is not a free morpheme. So example, in a word like reduce, repeat, and receive. This cannot stand alone even you take out the word er, because usually when we say er, it makes that the first impression is we thought that it's a bound morpheme, but it's not. These are single word, and it cannot be omitted to the word, or it cannot stand alone as juice because it's going to be meaningless. So there are a lot of examples as well that you can actually find online as well. And by the way, there are free morphemes, the lexical morpheme and the functional morpheme. So when you say lexical morpheme, it's the set of ordinary nouns, adjective, and verbs. So it conveys information in a text or speech act is known as lexical word. So why are they treated as open class of words? They are treated as open class words of words because we can add new lexical morpheme to the language rather easily. We can create new words which are lexical. And the other one is the functional. We have morphemes that consist of functional words in the language, such as conjunction, prepositions, articles, and pronouns. So basically, with when you say lexical morphemes, they are treated as open because you can add words freely, changing the meaning, or changing it into a meaningful word. While when you say functional, basically it's more of a conjunction preposition that you cannot add to change its meaning. So later on, I will discuss more of the examples on that. So it's called close. It's the opposite of the lexical. It's called closed class of words because we almost never add new functional morphemes to the language. And to discuss about bound morphemes, we have two types: the derivational morpheme and inflectional morpheme. So when you say derivational morpheme, these are bound morphemes that can be used in making new words or making words of a different grammatical category from the stem. So from each word, example in this, we have the word good. It's adjective, right? But when you add ness, it becomes goodness, and it becomes a noun. So from its word it derives another meaning of this. So another example is the word care. So it's actually a noun, and then if you add suffix full, it becomes adjective as careful. So it changes basically uh, the meaning of it. It makes a new word in a different grammatical category from the stem. And the other one is the inflectional morpheme. These are morphemes that can use to indicate aspect of grammatical function of a word. So it remains the same when you say clean and then you add ed. The only changes is the tense. We can also have another example for the pluralization. I'll give you example of that one. But this can also be called as inflections. Uh, so here are the examples. We have 8 different ways to do the inflectional morphemes. So we can have a possessive word from the word. We have an example, Jane's brother. It remains the same. We're just portraying that it's Jane's brother, and we can have it plural without changing it. We have ing from the word teaching. It's the same word, teaching. It's the same verb, teaching. And we also have likes from the word like, played, forgotten. So this is basically changing with verbs. And we have with adjective from, you're happy and then you want it to be superlative, so happiest, or comparative. All right. So it's obviously different from it because you just have to focus on the for derivation. It's changing from noun to adjective or adjective to noun, because of the affixes or suffixes that you can do. So morphological description, what's the difference between, basically here it is the answer. What's the difference between inflectional morpheme and derivational morpheme? So inflectional morpheme never change grammatical category of a word. Okay, so from old, you can add er. It's the same adjective. So for the derivational, from the word here that we have is the word teach. It's a verb, but if you add er, it becomes a noun. So that's going to be a different thing that you can highlight on those two. So if we have, if you have a sentence like this, okay, the girls' wildness shocked the teachers. So functional, definitely a functional. You can never add anything on this. Girls. So this is the lexical word girl, and we have inflectional apostrophe s. We have lexical, which is the base word, and ness is the derivational, which it becomes different from noun. It becomes you know um, adjective. And then we have the word lexical, or the base word, that can be added in an ed, which is the inflectional. And we have the functional. We have another lexical, and then derivational. It changes from verb, it becomes a noun. And then we can add another s to describe it as a plural. So it's going to be inflectional because it cannot stand alone. So there's also the diagram of morphemes. We have free, lexical, and function. And we have also the bound, which is derivational and inflectional, that we have discussed. So the problem in morphological description, so far we only have considerable example of English word in which the different morphemes are easily identifiable. Thus, it is the inflectional morpheme, which makes sheep the plural of sheep, or men the plural of man. Related to question concerning the inflection, which makes went the past of go. And yet another question concerning the derivation is an adjective like legal. If al is the derivational suffix, as it is the forms of like institutional. And what's the stem? No, it's not a leg, of course, right? So yeah, these are the problems also that we actually have in morphological study. So we have allomorpho. This is another topic that can be discussed as well. So this is going to be a linguistic term for a variant form of morpheme, and then later on I will discuss more of that one. But basically for this morphemes, it's going to be It's going to be a study more of the structure of the language. So this also one of the examples that I have.